things about trading Forex is that you don't actually know exactly which trade is going to be a crazy winner or just another loss.
What's up, everybody? We are currently live.
Taking away the weekly.
Trace back down to what we've got to that price is going to be bullish.
Point sort of chasing the market. I was more than happy to stay flat.
Hello everyone. What the kangaroo tell?
Always recommend trading on the 5 minute.
Some of these exotic pairs in pretty steady uptrend, making these higher highs and higher.
Mostly trend following.
The stimulus in a certain way.
Afternoon, evening, good morning all. Hope you're all well and had a good weekend. I see there's quite a few more people in the chat today. So Shifath, how you doing? Heartless, I can't pronounce your name, sorry. Dawn, how you doing, mate? Taylor, Ada, everybody else, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. My name's Ryan. If for some new people here, I have been a trader now for 6 years. Based out in Dubai, so appreciate Nick and A1 Trading for having me back. If you don't know, I'm a bit more of a swing trader, so I look at the market from a kind of longer term perspective. And I'll go through what I'm looking at today. We did have a bank holiday in the UK today, so it's a little bit quieter, but I usually have a start with looking at the DXY, looking at the index, and then go into the pairs that I'm looking at. So if you're looking at anything or want me to look at anything, put it in the chat and I'll have a look at it. Raward, how are you doing? Sajith, where do I stay in Dubai? What, you want my location? I stay in a sustainable city, mate. James, how you doing, mate? Good to see someone. Okay, so let's look at the dollar. So the dollar's in a bit of an interesting position. Obviously, the dovish Fed on Friday has caused this dollar to fall. All right, I was actually looking at this on Friday. Yeah, I'll look at gold, Peter. I was looking at this on Friday, and from this 4-hour chart, which is my personal favorite chart, we were looking bearish. There was no doubt about it. Decent impulse to the downside. Now, I was possibly looking at a potential intraday dollar long, but what I said was that what we need, if you're looking at the DXY for your kind of direction of the dollar, right? Because obviously the dollar's the highest volumely traded currency in the market. What you're looking for is a break and close above this area. So I was saying, if we do get a break and close above this area, then we could be in line for some potential dollar upward movement, because at that point in time, we were still on an uptrend, right? The trend is your friend and all that. But now, after the Fed on Friday, that's kind of shifted a little bit. Obviously, we've had a slight fake to the upside on that volatility on Friday. And now we've had that decent bearish bar, closed underneath that 4-hour 200, closed underneath this support area. So for continuation or trend continuation, you're certainly looking at the moment at dollar shorts. So if you've got a potential setup, so now at the moment, you know, it looks to be in pullback mode. Right, we've had a decent move to the downside, and as we know, markets trend 30% of the time, markets range or pull back 70% of the time. So we've got to let this move digest a little bit. And I think, you know, if we see a potential catalyst here, which we may be getting, you know, this could be ending up as a potential evening star here, possibly coming on a bit of higher volume. Maybe this is signaling the end of this pullback and a continuation to the downtrend. Now, if we break through here and close through here, then I don't think it'd be a bad position to look at potential dollar shorts. So my bias for the dollar is downward movement. We do have a bit of support here. Certainly if we break through this, you know, it could be there's an argument there for a decent move to the downside in that dollar. You know, we've seen what happened before, roughly when we got to this area. Now, remember, markets have a memory, right? We kind of pushed through it, but we've kind of faked out from it. We've broken through this upward trend line, broken through that 20 period on the daily, and we could be in line for some potential dollar weakness. So yeah, I think dollar shorts are not a bad way to play this market once you get that indication that it does indeed want to move down. So we haven't really got that yet, but if we do, yeah, not a bad time to potentially sell that dollar. Can you talk about NZD Swiss? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that, Mahina. Hey, Ryan, watching from South Africa. Hey, mate, good to see you. And hello, Ryan. Thank you. Appreciate that. Cheers, guys. Thoughts on GU? Yeah, I'll talk about GU as well. Let me just go through my pairs that I'm looking at, and then I'll talk about all the ones you want me to talk at. So SPX is looking bullish. It's risk on right now. It's pushing through all-time highs. We kind of, the market seemed to like it. This is why, for me as a technical trader and purely a technical trader, I like to wait for the market's reaction to the news rather than the news itself. Because how many times, I know for me personally over the years, you see a news event come out and you're expecting a currency to be bullish and it ends up going the other way, right? That's happened to me too many times. So I like to take that side of it out, focus on exactly what I'm seeing on the charts, and looking at that market reaction and reacting to that news rather than predicting it. So at the moment, SPX is moving to the upside. You've got to say it's risk on. Selling those risk off currencies still makes sense. So the US 500 is not a bad play to the upside on trend continuation. Okay, pairs that I'm looking at. So Euro Yen is one of them today. Euro Yen, this is not actually a trade I'm in. It's just a very small lot size, by the way. So I'm looking at this on this 30-minute or 1-hour chart. Now, what I'm looking to see, I can't, if you don't know me as a trader, I trade the breakouts on the 4-hour and daily charts. So 4-hour and daily, I trade the breakouts. And on the 30-minute plus, I trade the breakout retests. So what I'm looking at here is a potential cut with handle pattern and kind of accumulation into this area. So we're getting this basing V, cut with handle, V reversal, whatever you want to call it, possibly head and shoulders here prior to this resistance area. Now, we've been knocking on the door for quite some time, right? And we're getting this kind of squeeze into this area, which is what I like to see. And if we get a breakthrough, a retest to continue to the upside, for me, personally, on my strategy, I would look for entries roughly around here for EJ. Now, again, if we go into our context, so if I'm looking at a setup, I always like to look at the higher time frames for a higher time frame confluence. Okay, so we can see on the 4-hour chart, we are approaching this resistance zone. Okay, we understand that. But we've crossed over this 20, we've crossed over this 200. Stocks are pushing on, which should favor weakness in the yen. Okay, and the context of this is not too bad. We look at the daily chart. From a kind of longer term perspective, we're possibly breaking out of this descending channel again with this daily, crossed over that 20, crossed over that 200. This looks not too bad. In terms of an entry, what I always try to do is get in at the start of the move. So this is potentially the start of a movement to the upside. Potentially, it's not confirmed yet, but it is potentially the start of the move. So Euro Yen to the upside, I kind of do like. And it doesn't look too bad. So we're kind of respecting this squeeze. So a breakout retest to move to the upside, I would take that all day. So Euro Yen looks quite good. Another one that I'm looking at is Euro Polish. Now, I know some of you might not trade this. For me personally, I like a lot of the exotic pairs, because I found that if you get on the right side of them, and they can really move. So this Euro Polish for me is an A-star setup, right? And I'll explain why. We've got this large basing structure here, a kind of V reversal. So for those of you that are new here, I like 3 contexts, right? The 3 contexts I like prior to a break. One is the cut with handle. The second is the V reversal. And the third is the head and shoulders. So as a pre-breakout pattern, these are the only 3 that I'm looking at. I'm a massive proponent of keeping things simple. So we've got here a big V reversal, but the most important part of these breakouts are just prior to the break. So the cup with handle, right? This is basically a cup with handle. This is the most important part if you're a breakout trader for your entries. And within this Euro PLN, what we're seeing is this kind of rising pressure into the area. And we're getting what I like to call an ABC. So an ABC complex corrective is actually an AB shallow C. So we've got this outside bullish engulfer on the daily, right? We've tagged this area again, creating our B wave. Come down, created a higher high, another outside bullish engulfer. And now we're digesting again this bullish engulfer in the form of a channel, roughly coming back to this 20 period. So within this ABC pattern that I've indicated here, ABC, I can take breaks of this on these breaks of B wave here. So I'm not as worried about this kind of wicks to the upside just above this resistance area here. I'm more focused on this B wave. And what I'm looking for is a kind of bullish pressure into this area. So if I get a bar, something like this, round about that 20 period, kind of confirming that squeeze up into that area, because for me, that resistance reject too many times. Yeah, see, Rajpreet, there's a different ways to look at it. And this is where every trader is different, right? So for me, the more this resistance is kind of knocked on the door, the less strong it's getting, if that makes sense. The reason why I say the less strong it's getting is because look at this. We're kind of getting, this is not confirmed right now. Who asked me that? Rajpreet. This is not confirmed, but we're getting that kind of rising pressure into the level. So the sellers, right, the sellers in this market are not getting as much reward as they are, as they were initially, like as they were here and as they were here. So you got to think about the psychology of that, right? We talk about psychology being the most important part of trading, right? It is. Your strategy is 30%. Psychology is 70, 80, strategy 30 or 20%. So you got to think that if you are a seller at this point, you're getting less profit than what you were here. So you're thinking, well, I'm not going to take a sell order here because, it's looking like this is potentially breaking to the upside, right? So does that make sense? That kind of psychology of it and that, technical aspect where we're getting rising pressure, higher highs, simple Dow theory into that, higher lows into that area. So for me, if this breaks above B wave, I will happily take that to the upside. But again, as long as it sets up. So it has to set up for me in order to take it. But this, as a kind of context for me, doesn't mean it's going to break. It doesn't mean it's going to be a winning trade, but it's A star for sure. That will always get faked out on this chart setup. It will do a false breakout at the end just to rally up and break up. Yeah. I mean that's trading, isn't it, Jackal? That's what you try and do. If you are a breakout trader, we know that fake outs happen 70% of the time, right? So 70% of breaks happen, or 70% of breakouts are fake outs, and they end up going the wrong way. I think a lot of them are on lower time frames, which is one of the reasons, when I was doing my back testing, that I found the 4-hour and the daily are the best breakout time frames for me, just because the time frames, the higher time frames are more powerful, simply. So, and this is also one of the reasons why I say the most important area of a breakout is just before the break. So, yeah, I mean, it's just part and parcel of the game, Jackal. It's just trying to understand when a breakout is going to be a fake out and put your best odds to try and get into those real breakouts. Any tips on practicing market structure? I mean, back testing is your number one way to give yourself more confidence in a particular market by far. So for me, I don't know whether anyway. So for me, I know a lot of people know this, but my trading journey was kind of an up and down thing for quite some time, for 2.5 years, and it took me 2.5 years to become profitable. And the biggest thing for me to change it from being a unprofitable trader to a profitable trader was, well, a combination of two things, was back testing and getting a mentor. So back testing gives you such confidence, and it allows you to, really find out if your strategy actually works. That's a lot, that's something that a lot of traders don't actually know, if their strategy actually works, what your data is, what your statistics is, and you also get to find out the characteristics of each individual pair, about the market structure, about what works and what doesn't work. So that's probably my biggest tip for really anyone is get back testing, because it'll help your trading out massively. Okay, I'll do my last one that I'm looking at, and then I'll look through your guys' chart. So Euro Pound was the last one I was looking at here as well, potentially actually on these smaller time frame charts. So on this 30-minute, I'm looking at head and shoulders here, right? We've kind of pulled back to that 20, good bullish bar. So if we break out from this area, retest, give me a catalyst here to go long. And by a catalyst, I mean a simple chart pattern, your hammer or your engulfer on high volume. I would happily play that to the upside on Euro Pound. What I'm really looking at is a 4-hour breakout here. So you can kind of see my potential cut with handle on our 4-hour chart. We're going with trend. We're digesting this move to the upside. So for a potential breakout on Euro Pound to the upside. The other good thing about this is there's a decent risk reward here, because we've got quite some gap between the next resistance area. So Euro Pound looks not too bad. Also, diving into this daily chart a little bit deeper, we've got what I call a rising 3 pattern. So a rising 3 or a rising 4. Back tested, and now I'm consistent. Oh, well done, Lebo. Excellent. Top of the morning. Top of the morning to you. So sorry. This is what we call like a rising 3 or a rising 4, right? A rising 3 or rising 4. What it consists of, and what the technical or theoretical pattern is you have one either bullish or bearish engulfer, 3 bars in the middle of that, right? And then another bullish or bearish engulfer at the end. Ideally, this initial bar comes on volume. This last bar comes on volume, and you kind of get lowering volume during the bars in the middle, whether it's 3 or 4 or potentially 5, right? And what this is known as is an igniting pattern, right? So it's supposed to ignite moves. So we can see here, we're kind of getting that potential igniting rising 4 pattern. We're getting a little bit of volume coming on this last outside bullish engulfer. We're getting a little bit of volume coming in on this initial bullish engulfer, which is coming from an uptrend. And we're getting lowering volume during this initial or middle stage. So that's a good sign on Euro Pound. I am quite bullish on the pound, and this is not set up yet, but that looks not too bad for a potential break to the upside. It's not ready yet. Like I said, I need a little bit more, possibly a 50% consolidation. Can you repeat what it's called? It's called a rising 3 or a rising 4. So it just depends on how many bars in the middle. It normally goes up to a 5, so you can have up to probably 5 bars in the middle, like this. Again, if you flip it around, you can get a bearish one, just like this. But, a rising 3, 4, or 5, right? It's just what they call an igniting pattern, and you're potentially getting it there. So yeah, and what I mean by that 50% is, in terms of my context, so if I'm having a cut with handle, and this is my basing structure here, my basing cut pattern or basing market structure, I need the handle or the latter part of that pattern to kind of make up around 50% of this basing structure. Does that make sense? So I would need that accumulation or that price action prior to the break to be roughly around 50% of that basing structure. And the reason why I say that is because we want to digest this move to the upside, right? Remember that 70-30 rule. So we're looking for this to kind of digest for continue to the upside. So we're looking for a kind of squeeze in or a head and shoulders or whatever it is. I probably have to go into that in more detail. It's kind of a lesson in itself, my personal strategy. Because I'm looking to get into moves at the right time. I'm looking to get into moves at the start of the move and not at the end of the move. We're looking to sell stuff down here and not sell it down here. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of use that digestive period just to kind of get into potential breaks that are ready to shoot up to the upside. I mean, that's the goal, right? So yeah, euro pound looks quite good. Okay, let me go through. Rohan, how you doing, mate? No problem, Kimberly. Okay, so let me go through the pairs that you have talked about. I have to go back, sorry. So GJ, okay, GJ. I'll start with GJ. GJ. I mean, okay, GJ looks, I mean, your bias is to the upside, right? Your bias is to the upside. You potentially got your double bottom here. And actually, as a double bottom, it's your preferential kind of double bottom because you've got kind of got a higher high. So that's not a bad double bottom. What we'd like to see is a real push through that 20 period, right, to make sure we're not correcting from this downtrend and we're actually changing to a potential uptrend. And actually, good you pointed that out because that doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look, I mean, it's not perfect, but that actually doesn't look too bad for a potential break to the upside. There is this 200 in the way, which is an area of dynamic resistance to price, right? The 200s are obviously the biggest dynamic in terms of moving averages. But if you can get a break above that area, GJ will look good to the upside. You know, you'd expect if stocks push GJ to, or the yen to fall off a little bit and get a little bit weaker. Don't be surprised if you get a potential, you know, complex corrective here before it breaks to the upside. But, you know, we have to wait for confirmation on that because at the moment, you still have to say it's potentially pulling back from this movement to the downside. So, you know, we can't say that's changed trend. We've seen it happen before. We've seen stocks push and the yen get strong, right? Because of that slight uncertainty in the market. So we can't discount that yet. But if this does break above here, GJ would probably be looking good to the upside, but I wouldn't be trading it right now. I mean, look at that. Unless you're a range trader, I mean, that price action isn't very nice to get involved in, is it? So GJ waiting for confirmation for me personally for upside or even downside movement. Gold. Gold. Everybody likes gold. Remember to like the video, guys, if you're watching. A lot of good free content on A1 trading. So if you can like the video, that'd be great. And if you want to follow me, my channels are down there. That would be appreciated as well. Gold. So you'd expect, obviously, the inverse relationship with gold and the US dollar. Now, the US dollar is in pullback mode, which is why gold's in pullback mode at the moment. The daily chart looks good. Right, we've crossed over that 200. We've respected this support area. We've kind of getting our bigger V reversal. So this looks okay. Your main area with gold is obviously a break above this section. Right, so you're kind of in, from a longer term perspective, you're expecting this to go to the upside. But, you know, you look at the 20 period, it's down here. I use the 20 period as a kind of visual guide to help me get into stuff at the right time. And you'll find a lot of movements kind of correct roughly around that 20 simple. So you're just in corrective from this decent bar on Friday, which is the same with the US dollar. So you got to let this corrective play out. You know, if you've missed the move, there's opportunities to buy it on pullbacks down here. So I'm bullish on gold, but I wouldn't be buying it now. I'd just be waiting for, you know, something to get you in. You know, you need a reason to get in. Possibly it respects these highs and comes back and retests this area before continuing to the upside. But your mind has got to be bullish and just find an entry. Like that for me personally on gold. New Zealand Swiss. Sorry, I'm just going through them now. So New Zealand Swiss. There's a lot more people in the chat today, so it's going to take me a bit longer. How is everybody's trading going, by the way? And how experienced is everybody here? Have you been trading for a while, or are you complete beginners? Are you at the stage where you possibly a break-even trader or a profitable trader? Let me know where you guys are. It's always interesting to see where you guys are because, you know, if you've watched me, I know a lot of people have watched me, but knows the kind of journey I went through from losing a lot of money to getting funded and kind of going back. So I've been on quite a while. And so just what I always say this is that people think that going through certain things on their own, and they're the only ones that are going through tough times. But let me tell you, that is that's not the case. You know, every trader, every single trader goes through some I was about to say a bad word there, some horrible times. So, you know, share it. Everybody's there to help you. I've been through it, and just keep progressing, keep doing the right things, keep trying to improve every single day, even if it's a little thing. You know, do your trade reviews instead of saying, if you lose a trade, going, oh, it's a scam, you can't make money here, blah blah blah. You know, find out why it lost. Figure out, you know, your market characteristics, your personalities of each individual pairs, and you keep, like, I never thought I would be where I was at all. You know, never in a million years did I think where I'd be, you know, having a funded account and, you know, doing this full time. But you do little things every day, and eventually they'll all add up. So just keep going, basically. Okay, New Zealand Swiss. New Zealand Swiss looks okay to the upside. You know, we broke into this area, a decent 4-hour bar. You put a fib on it. We've kind of crossed through this line in the sand, this 61.8, or trend continuation to the downside. The only issue I would have with New Zealand Swiss is, you know, I wouldn't buy it now. That's my only issue with it. I like the trade idea. I like the idea of going long. It makes sense, buying the New Zealand, selling Swiss, which is relatively weak. I would just be looking at a potential pullback to do that. But, you know, my bias is long, certainly if those stocks continue to push to the upside. Beginner. So yeah, New Zealand Swiss, Euro USD, been learning in demo for 4 months. Oh, well done, Ada. Good. Trading for 3 years. Well done. I respect anyone who's been trading for more than 3 years, because, you know, it's a tough game. You know, normally people will come in for a year, 6 months. I don't want to say can't hack it, because can't hack it is probably the wrong word. Sometimes trading isn't for people. But I respect anyone who's been in the trader for or who's been in the trading game for 3 years, because I know it's quite difficult. Break-even trader, well done. I mean, that's great. You know, you have to think that 95% of traders fail. Okay, that's the statistics that everybody says. Whether that's completely true or not, I kind of believe it. But if you are a break-even trader, you're still in that 5%. And I always think there's such a small difference. I was talking about this on my stream this morning or this afternoon. There's such a small difference between a break-even trader, you know, and profitable traders, and, you know, maybe great traders. Maybe 1 or 2 trades per month, you know, can take you up a bracket. You know, for me in August, just at the end of August, I've not taken a trade the whole of August. And that is the first time in my life, in the 6 years, you know, I've been looking at the market since I was 18, so 14 years, but trading properly for 6 years. First time in my life I've never taken a trade in a month. And I don't consider that a bad thing. Right? I actually consider that's okay. I was actually quite, well, I wouldn't say proud of myself, but I'm quite thinking, right, I never thought I would be able to do that. Don't get me wrong, it's boring. I want to take trades, but you might say, oh, you've never taken a trade that's easy. It's actually, like, quite difficult not taking a trade. You know, you've got to be very disciplined. Funded by FTMO. Oh, well done, Ibrahim. Well done. What broker? I trade off FTMO. So this right now is my, I haven't started yet, my 200 grand challenge on FTMO. So it's just, I don't trade off my own money. Who asked me that? Robert. Yeah, I don't trade off my own money anymore. I just use FTMO accounts, basically. Because for me, personally, like, if you've got anything less than maybe even $30,000 to put in a trading account, I don't see the point. You know, I think the lack of capital is one of the biggest reasons why traders fail, because you're trying to take too much money out of a relatively small account. So, you know, unless you have a lot of capital behind you, I don't see why you wouldn't, as long as you're a profitable trader, you know, go for these funded accounts. So, yeah, I use FTMO. I used to use IC markets, and I used to use Blueberry markets, which are quite good. I recommend them. Certainly IC markets probably the best. But yeah, now I just use FTMO. No longer jumping from strategies. Yeah, The cycle of doom, Lebo gang, the cycle of doom. I did that as well. I jumped from, so I remember I started a breakout retest, and I'll go through gold. Is it bearish? No, my bias for gold is continuation longs, but just wait for a catalyst to entry. But remember, guys, it's if you think gold is bearish and your strategy says it's bearish, then sell it. For me, if I was looking at this right now, we're coming from this decent bar. You've got to let that settle. You've got to let it digest. You know, so potentially if you get a reason to enter here, to take it to the upside. But as we know in the markets, anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. You've just got to stick to your strategy. You've got to have your edge, and you've got to play that edge out over a long period of time, and you'll be all right. But yeah, I started off, you know, breakout. I went down to scalping. I was all over the place. And then I said to myself, right, I like the breakout. I like the breakout retest. Let's go and back test it and find out exactly what I like. And then I started building up from there. So yeah, the cycle of doom is a pretty horrible place to be, but you can get yourself out of it. Forgive me, but have you looked at USD Cad? No, I'm not actually. I'll look at USD Cad. Who asked me that? Alexander. USD Cad. So, USD Cad. This price action on the daily, you know, we have to remember we are coming from an uptrend, but this price action obviously kind of changes that tone a little bit. We're expecting that 20, but we're kind of digesting that move to the downside. It looks as if it tried to break through this 200 or this area on this 4-hour chart, but potentially, and this is one of the reasons why I say, you know, things aren't ready. Look what we've come from, right? So people talking about fake outs or fake outs to the downside, you have to look at this, the extent of this move, right? So for me, it's just not ready to break to the downside. That doesn't mean it can't. Doesn't mean it can't at all. But what I'm saying, for me, I wouldn't be taking that break to the downside on USD CAD just because of where it's come from. You know, this price action, that move's already happened, and you've kind of got to let it digest a little bit more. You can just tell by looking at it. Does it look enough? Well, it's a 4-hour chart, but you know, does it really look enough to move to the downside? I don't think so yet. So, you know, my bias for USD CAD is down, but you know, when you see fake outs like this, don't be surprised if it comes out to potential stop locations. So where's your potential stop locations? Probably here, and then continues to the downside. Yeah, I just don't think USD CAD is ready to move, but I could be completely wrong. Could be completely wrong. Adam, hey Ryan, love the content. I appreciate that, mate. Appreciate that. Can you please tell what are the basic checks you do before going into a trade? Basic checks you do. So, okay, that's a good question. So let's look at what did I have on my watch list. So for example, Euro Yen. I have an entry checklist, right? I have an entry checklist, but I'm a bottom up trader. So I look for the setup first, and then I look for a higher time frame confluence. So this is one of the reasons why Euro Yen looks good to me, because I like this higher time frames. I like being above the 20. You know, just seeing this breaking out of this descending channel, I like that. I like being above the 200, and you know, I like this 4-hour price action. We're going with trend. That's kind of it's kind of a long question to answer, Shifa. So if you send me a message on Instagram, if you send me a DM, I can kind of go through it in more detail. But there's a few things that I look for in terms of my entry checklist. But because I've been doing it for so long, I just kind of know it off the bat, off the dome, what I like to see. You know, for example, okay, let's look at this euro. What was I looking at? Euro pound. You know, if I see this on the daily, right, that's good confluence. Right, so that is good confluence for my trade. From a higher time frame perspective, right, I know that this pattern is a potentially igniting pattern. So that's great. Now, same thing, if I'm taking counter trend and I'm taking it from here, that's okay for me. You know, I use simple things. So if that's a potential hammer there, I could say, well, you know, theory tells me that this is a potential trend change or pullback indicator. So if I get a buy setup here, this is okay. So I'm looking for that higher time frame confluence and a reason to get in. And kind of going in on that as well, if we are, let's see if I can find an example. If we are, let's say, I'm trying to find a good example of what I'm trying to I've forgotten I've forgotten what I was going to say. It's just completely gone out of my mind. But essentially, that's what I kind of look for. So Euro USD. Okay, I'll do Euro USD, and let me know if there's anything else. Euro USD. Well, Euro USD, you're kind of looking at the DXY. It kind of mirrors the DXY, right? So it looks okay for potential upward movement. Oh, excuse me. So it looks all right. Slight fake out at this level, right? So we got a slight fake out at this level. We've had a big push. For me to get in, involved in this, considering where we've come from, I would need something larger like this to potentially continue that to the upside. I think if the DXY falls, then yeah, you could see the Euro USD move. But my bias now is potential upward movement. But we have to remember that we are on a downtrend. You get a break and close above this area, you could say, well, it's a potential change in trend. Yeah, I agree with that. But you've got some, barriers to your upward trend there, just because it is counter trend. But yeah, my bias for EU is upside movement. Just let this bar, again, very similar to the DXY, just let it digest. This is where your patience comes in. You have to have a little bit of patience with trading. We don't have to be millionaires in a month. We don't have to be millionaires in a week. Just be patient and get your right setups. Because the reason why I say that is, for me, when I was doing the wrong things, I'd be taking trades that didn't quite fit my strategy, wasn't quite there, again, psychology-wise, and I'd end up being, if I lost 1 hour or 2 hour, I'd be 2 hour down, and then the setup which you were confident in that actually hit your everything to do with your entry criteria, so it's a perfect trade, that one, let's say 1.5R, you're still chasing that break-even point because of these 2 silly trades that you probably shouldn't have taken. So just be patient and make sure things fit your entry criteria properly. NAS1, I actually don't, Baba, I've never looked at the NASDAQ. I don't know why, but I've never looked at that. So I can't really comment on it. It's not something I've ever traded, to be honest. Connor, have we done GU? Okay, I'll do GU, and that'll be it for this evening. It is almost 7 o'clock here. Oh, sorry, I'm on GU now. NZ, okay, fine. I'll do GU and Kiwi Yen, and then that'll be it more for tonight. So GU is potentially okay. So, it is, again, this is counter trend. I know everybody's saying dollars a week, but, just wait for real confirmation here. This doesn't look too bad from this push. You're going to get a pullback, again, roughly around that 20 simple. If you do get a break and close above this area, you still got that 200 to attend with as well, to contend with. So I would say a breakout retest of this area would be your safer entry for GU. But again, looking at that DXY, look at this as well. You've got those moving averages above price here. You're potentially still looking like a corrective. I know the DXY looks short, but this is what the chart is telling us. So unless you get a breakout of that, you've got some barriers to your trade going to the upside. Even though I like it, I like the idea of buying it, you need to wait for that confirmation. And, potentially here would be an okay entry. But certainly for me, a breakout retest to go to the upside on GU. It's just not a very nice pair to trade right now. To be honest, I think there's better pairs to trade. Okay, finally, New Zealand yen. quite similar to the Swiss, right? So quite similar to the Swiss. You know, as I said, I do like it long. But we have come from a decent move here. You know, we've kind of moved quite well. And for me, this corrective is not enough to digest this move. So although I like it to the upside, I just wouldn't be buying it now. I certainly wouldn't be taking this breakout, because this can happen when you get movements like this that are just not properly digested. So, you know, I would just be waiting for a real digestion of this move to the upside. But on the daily, it looks good. You know, we're closing above those moving averages. Decent price action, strong bullish price action going up. If the yen wants to weaken off, yeah, okay, that should move up. We know that using our risk sentiment. But, you know, are we getting a slight loss of momentum here on the 4 hour? Will we get our complex corrective? Possibly. So again, for me, I like it to the upside, but I wouldn't be buying or selling it now. What's the better pair to trade right now? Oh, Audie, that all depends on your strategy. Oh, sorry, one thing I do like as well, silver. I forgot to say this. It's my last one. So silver I like. I'm waiting for a retest of this area. So notice we've got our V reversal. This is counter trend, but we've got our complex corrective here. It's kind of an ABCDE kind of channel. So this is good. I was looking at this on Friday, hoping that we'd kind of come up here, reload and go. But on that fundamental news, silver kind of moved to the upside. So we're getting a possible steady state retest. I need it back on that 20, and I need a reason to enter on high volume. So for me, being a simplistic trader, if we get, ideally for me, so ideally here, we get a kind of hammer that looks like this. It's my favorite type of entry, right? A hammer on that 20 period, on high volume, stops under there, buy it here, and TP1 at 1-to-1, let the rest run. That ideally for me would be silver. But better pairs to trade, it just depends on your strategy, Waddy. The ones that I've looked at, I kind of like. I do like the euro yen if it breaks. I do like silver. And I like that euro Polish. I do like that euro Polish, but I'm not in any trades. So disclaimer, I'm not in any trades right now. All right, guys, I appreciate you being here. Remember, as A1 Trading said, like the video if you like it. If you want to follow me, that's my stuff there. But I appreciate you coming. And hopefully I'm back on Thursday, so I might see some of you on Thursday as well. All right, guys, trade safe. Peace.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. And before you go, make sure to check out our guest today and also subscribe to the A1 Trading YouTube channel if you have not already. Risk Calculator is a risk management tool built specifically for MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5 to help you position size properly. Their easy-to-use software will allow you to enter and exit positions with lot sizes that are calculated for you, suited to your risk management settings that you allow for the tool. This is a big thing because a lot of us struggle with over-leveraging or accidentally taking a position size too big, and Risk Calculator is there to help. Like I said, with the click of a few buttons, you're able to set your trade and the lot size will automatically be calculated for you so that it suits your risk management plan. In addition to actually setting your trades with the proper lot size, it also allows you to manage your trades as they're going along. Things like trailing stops, moving stops to break even, or even partial take profits are all tools or features available with the Risk Calculator functions that are available on MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. If you're interested in checking out Risk Calculator, there's a link down below in the description. And if you use that link, it does help to support what we do here on the channel, which is provide free trading content, again, by the thanks to the help of our sponsors. So thanks so much for watching today. Again, make sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube if you haven't already, and we'll see you back in the next one.